For His Majesty's loyal opposition, Shadow Minister Kevin Howlingrake.
Thank you very much, Dr Hook. It's a pleasure to speak with you in the chair, not least because as a young teenager, Dr Hook was one of my favourite bands growing up in that period of time. Not all of you will have heard of Dr Hook. I was, absolutely. And can I thank my honourable friend, the member for Berwickshire, Roxburgh and Selkirk, for his excellent opening to this speech. He made so many good points, not least the level of support for this petition. 1 million people, the 8th most signed petition in history, 2,040 for my own constituency of Thirsk and Malton. Such an important debate. And of course this petition is calling for an immediate general election. This country wants and needs an immediate general election, was the wording of the petition. Listen, I'd be the first to admit, having been in government myself, governing is not easy. It is a difficult business. But I must say, one or two of the members opposite, in some of their remarks they made, I would name the honourable member for Edinburgh South West, talking about this, somehow this petition is about us sowing division. The honourable member for Southport, which is talking about somehow this is a Conservative plot to bring this petition to this debate. These are real people out there that are very concerned about what a number of people have said, about the betrayal they see, about how much they have been let down, and they are angry. So dismissing their concerns on the basis of some kind of political plot is a big mistake. It was also a mistake, I think, for the government to respond. For the government to respond as it did on the 11th of August last year, when it first responded to this petition, saying that the government was fixing the foundations, it was rebuilding Britain, it was restoring confidence. This is a government that is not listening and does not understand what the people are saying to it. I have to give way to the member for Edinburgh South West.
I do thank him for giving way. I do think I've been slightly misrepresented, or perhaps it was being unclear. I perfectly understand why people signed the petition, and I explained that I do think a lot of people feel left behind by the way the economy has evolved over the last 20 years. And people are frustrated, and that frustration has been harvested by parties who offer no solutions to the problems. And that's perhaps the point I was making. And apologies, sincere apologies if I wasn't clear. Thank you.
Well, I welcome his explanation. I appreciate that. And he seems like a very decent man and decent member, so I appreciate that. But it's very important, of course, we do listen to the public, because I think some genuine concerns about what the government set out to do and what it's actually doing.
Would you give way at that point?
Happy to give way to my honourable friend.
The honourable gentleman for giving way most generous this time, and he's returned the favour of an intervention. Talk about listening to the public. Now, the public are very angry about the Chagos deal. Does my honourable friend think that the opposition parties should use all the levers possible in this place and the other place to kill this bill?
I agree with him entirely. It is a terrible bill. We've opposed it all the way along, paying tens of billions of pounds of taxpayers' money to give away your own territory and rent it back. It's the most ludicrous thing.
I'm being told by the clock this is getting way out of scope here. We're talking about a petition to have a general election, not...
One of the many things that these people who signed the petition are concerned about, Dr Hook. So one of the big things that the government promised, of course, which I agree with them on, is we need to encourage faster growth in our economy. Of course, that's right, but look at where growth is. I'll tell you where growth is. Growth is in inflation. Growth is inflation. Growth is unemployment, including youth unemployment, which is rising significantly. Now 5.2% of the working population is unemployed, 4.2% when they took over. Taxes are growing to the tune of £60-odd billion a year. That's against the backdrop of the promises that were made about a fully costed, fully funded manifesto. No wonder people are angry. Debt and borrowing are up. Borrowing on interest alone, gilt yields are higher than ever, 5.72%, £116 billion a year, Dr Hook, in terms of what we pay annually every year, purely on debt interest. Small boat numbers are up 13% year on year. And bills, the cost of living, of course, this is one of the greatest concerns at my constituents, and no doubt everybody's constituents has, the cost of living, electricity prices against a backdrop of a promise to cut them by £300 a year, the average household £190 a year more than they were paying for their energy. I'll give it again to the Honourable Gentleman for Edinburgh West South West.
So on gilt rates, I think it is important to reflect that they are still higher in the UK than they would otherwise be because of Liz Truss's budget. But gilt rates are rising right around the world. You must absolutely accept that. So whilst they're higher in the UK, they're higher right around the world. Every developed country is faced with this challenge. Does he accept that? And they are higher in this country because of Liz Truss as well.
That last point is complete nonsense. I was going to agree with him in terms of the generally government borrowing is higher because where interest rates are generally, and the most important thing we can do is get inflation under control to reduce the cost of debt. But the reality is our margins above the rest of the world are higher than they have been for years. That is a fact I'm sure he won't dispute. So how do we get growth? How do we get growth? You do not go about it the way honourable members are talking about going about it. I listened to the Honourable Gentleman for Dartford. The Honourable Gentleman for Dartford, again, he made a very good speech in terms of in terms of the priorities for his constituency and what he's doing. But like a number of other members, all they've talked about, when they're talking about achieving growth, they're talking about long-term spending, like infrastructure. I'm not saying that's not important, or they're talking certain amounts of allocations of cash from the government to those areas. What they're not talking about is where growth is really driven from, is small businesses. That's where it's really driven from. Governments do not create jobs, not sustainably. The only thing that can create growth and increase the number of jobs in our economy is small businesses, and that's been notably absent from the comments and remarks of the members opposite. I'm happy to give way to the Honourable Member for Southport.
And so appreciate you giving way. If he knows how to get growth, if he knows how to bring up the GDP of the country, why has the economy been stagnating since 2010?
Well, the UK economy, the UK economy went through many challenges, of course, but nevertheless, against the backdrop of those challenges, some of it caused by Brexit, and that's the reality. The change like that was bound to have a short-term effect, but a short-term effect. The country's growing faster than Germany and France during that period of time. So the reality is, we grew with the third fastest growing economy in the G7 over that period of time. But back to where we are today, if he accepts, rather than chuntering from a sedentary position, that the reality around this is that business confidence, small business drives growth in the economy, drives a number of jobs for people in the economy. Business confidence in July of 2024 was +5, according to the Institute of Directors. Today, it is -66, one of the steepest falls in history in terms of where that confidence measure is. And I speak as somebody, Dr. Hooker, as not somebody who's been a politician all his life. I've done that for 10 years. The 30 years previously, I started a small business. We grew into a large business. I've been through the ups and downs. What the country needs, what those businesses need, is confidence, stability of policy making. But what have we seen instead of that stability of policy? I'm going to make some progress. What we've seen in terms of that policy making, we have seen U-turn after U-turn. As my honourable friend, the member for Stockton West, mentioned the number of U-turns, and my honourable friend, the member for West Worcestershire. Thank you, Doctor. And if I can resume where I left off. And I was talking about the many U-turns we've seen from this government. And, of course, as my honourable friends have said on winter fuel allowance and family farm tax, and I just praise my honourable friend, the member for Keighley and Ilkley, for the incredible job he has done campaigning on that farm tax, as well as the family business tax as well, of course, which is even more pernicious in many ways. The grooming gangs as well, he did a huge amount on. Business rates, the latest U-turn coming down the track. And this is why people feel betrayed and angry, and I'm sure, having been there in the past myself, honourable members on the other side of the House feel betrayed and angry with their own leadership for marching them up the top of the hill and marching them back down again on many of the issues. But they do not feel as strongly betrayed, particularly as the business people in this country. The business people who need stability need to understand exactly what's coming down the track next. And we've had a Chancellor that has constantly allowed this speculation to take place months before a budget, that destroys confidence, which damages the economy. And that's where the investment comes from that drives the economy forward and drives the increased number of jobs in our economy. So it's the antithesis of what a responsible and good Chancellor should do. As I said before, governing is not easy. We had many of our challenges ourselves and we did not get everything right. But what we did during that difficult period of time, that 14 years, 1.2 million more people employed in our economy. Unemployment halved during our period in office. Our schools, 68% good or outstanding to 90% at the end of our tenure. 100,000 more doctors and nurses in the NHS. Record numbers of houses being built, 50-year records, all against the backdrop of COVID, cost of living crisis and other challenges we had right then when we were governing this country. It shows what's possible, of course. All at the same time, we were keeping the very dangerous Jeremy Corbyn out of number 10 Downing Street. Of course, many of the opposition supported his challenge for leadership. So we are here now, Dr. Hook, in terms of looking forward to a general election coming down the track. And we are ready when they are ready for a general election. Because unlike them, we have a strong leader against their weak leader. We will bring forward a strong economy, a stronger economy, with stronger borders and a stronger country. We will cut the cost of doing government, £47 billion of savings, and with that savings we'll reduce debt, but also, crucially, we will cut the cost of doing business, particularly for small businesses. The scrapping of stamp duty for a primary home, the scrapping of business rates for any business that's spending less than £110,000 a year on business rates. These are measures that support small businesses. This is what we will do given the opportunity. We are all here, of course, in the national interest, to try and do the best by this country, the national interest. But in our view, the best national interest is for this government to leave office and put a general election to the people. Thank you.